The Galactic Council was in session, and the atmosphere was thick with laughter and mockery. In a grand hall filled with alien leaders from different planets, the council members were discussing a new report. A holographic image flickered to life in the center of the room, showing an old human warship drifting through space. Its metal hull was rusty and its systems appeared outdated. "Look at that relic," scoffed a tall, blue-skinned alien named Velcor. His voice was deep and booming. "Do they really think that ancient piece of junk can threaten us?" The other council members erupted in laughter. Many had never seen a human ship, and they found it hard to believe that such a weak-looking vessel could pose any danger. They had heard stories about humanity's past, about how they had fought bravely but had ultimately been defeated by stronger forces. To them, humans were nothing more than a joke. In the corner of the room, a young council member named Jara sat quietly, watching the laughter unfold. She had always been curious about humans and their history. Unlike her colleagues, she had studied their culture and knew they had once been fierce warriors. They had fought many battles and had made incredible advancements in technology. Jara felt a sense of unease as she listened to the council members mock the warship. She wanted to stand up and defend the humans, but feared the ridicule she would face. "Let's send our fleet to teach them a lesson," Velcor suggested with a wicked grin. "We can show them how foolish they are to think they can challenge us." The council cheered at his suggestion, eager to demonstrate their superiority over what they believed to be a weak species. Jara raised her hand, hesitant but determined. "Wait," she said, her voice shaky but clear. "We should not underestimate them. Humans have a strong will and a history of surprises." The room fell silent. Many turned to stare at her, eyebrows raised in disbelief. Velcor snorted, shaking his head. "You think they can fight? Look at that ship! It's just a shadow of what it once was. We can crush them easily. But what if they have hidden weapons?" Jara pressed, her heart racing. "What if this ship is just a trap? We cannot afford to make a mistake." The council members exchanged skeptical glances. Jara felt the weight of their judgment as they returned to their laughter. "Young Jara, you are too naive," said a wise old counselor named Greenock. "Trust us, we will handle this. The humans are nothing to fear." With a heavy heart, Jara watched as the council made its decision. They voted to send the Galactic Fleet to confront the ancient warship. She could only hope that they would realize their mistake before it was too late. Deep down, she believed humans still had something to fight for, something to prove. Meanwhile, aboard the old human warship, the crew of descendants lay in cryo-sleep, unaware of the events unfolding. They were the children of brave warriors who had fought and died long ago. Their ancestors had sealed away their greatest weapon, the warship, hoping that one day it would rise again. Now, as the council plotted their demise, a new chapter in human history was about to begin. Jara left the council chamber feeling a mix of fear and determination. She was the only one who believed in the strength of humans. What would happen when the Galactic Fleet encountered the warship? Would the council's arrogance lead to their downfall? As she walked away, she couldn't shake the feeling that she needed to do something to help. Maybe it was time for humanity to show the galaxy that they were not to be laughed at. The Galactic Fleet moved through the stars, confident and ready for battle. Their ships glimmered in the darkness of space, powerful and intimidating. They approached the ancient human warship, which floated silently like a forgotten ghost. Inside, the crew lay asleep in their cryogenic pods, unaware of the danger approaching. On the bridge of the warship, the air was still, thick with silence. The ship's systems were old and dusty, but deep within its core, something began to stir. A small light flickered, and then another. Slowly, the warship's computer activated, running self-diagnostics. It was time for the crew to awaken. One by one, the cryogenic pods began to open with a soft hiss. The crew emerged, blinking against the bright lights of the bridge. They were disoriented, their bodies weak from years of sleep. As they looked around, confusion quickly turned to fear. Where were they? What had happened? The ship's captain, a middle-aged man named Captain Allen, was the first to regain his senses. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Report!" he commanded, his voice strong but shaky. The ship's computer, still booting up, answered in a calm voice. "Captain, systems are coming online. We have detected a hostile fleet approaching." Zarn felt a rush of excitement. "Can we see the ships?" he asked, eager to learn more. The Guardian nodded, gesturing for them to follow. The team walked deeper into the underground base. Dim lights illuminated the massive hangar filled with rows of warships. Some ships were sleek and aerodynamic, while others looked bulky and powerful. Each one seemed to hum with potential. Zarn couldn't believe his eyes. "These are incredible," he exclaimed, taking in the sight. The Guardian continued to speak. "Each vessel is equipped with advanced technology, including energy shields and weapons that can target multiple enemies at once. However, they have been dormant for centuries. It is up to you to decide their fate." Zarn's heart raced. This was what he had come for. "Can we activate them?" he asked, hope shining in his eyes. The Guardian paused as if weighing the consequences. "Yes, but know this. Awakening the fleet will attract attention. Enemies may come to claim this power for themselves. Are you ready for that risk?" the Guardian warned. Zarn exchanged glances with his team. They understood the dangers, but the thrill of discovery was too strong to resist. "We are ready," he said firmly. The Guardian nodded and began to explain how to activate the ships. As they prepared to awaken the fleet, the team divided into groups. Some worked on the controls, while others inspected the ships. Each member felt a deep connection to the history around them. They were not just explorers, they were now part of humanity's legacy. After hours of careful work, the moment finally arrived. Zarn pressed the final button, and a powerful hum filled the hangar. The ships began to glow, lights flashing on their surfaces. It was a magnificent sight. One by one, the ships stirred to life, their engines purring like awakened beasts. Suddenly, a loud siren blared throughout the base. "Alert! Alert!" echoed the Guardian's voice. "Unauthorized entry detected. Prepare for intruders." Panic swept over the team. They had been discovered. Zarn quickly organized his team. "We need to defend the fleet. We can't let them take it." They all nodded, determination shining in their eyes. They had awakened the ships, but now they had to protect them. As they hurried to the control room, Zarn felt the adrenaline coursing through his veins. The ships were ready, but they needed to strategize quickly. The Guardian provided information on the enemy ships approaching Earth. They were part of a ruthless galactic empire known for conquering worlds. Zarn and his team prepared the warships for battle. "We have to get into the air and show them that Earth is not to be underestimated," Zarn shouted, rallying his team. The first ship powered up, its sleek form rising from the hangar. The others followed, and soon the hangar was filled with the roar of engines. Zarn took the lead, climbing into the cockpit of the flagship. His heart pounded as he initiated the launch sequence. "All systems are ready," the Guardian announced. "You have the element of surprise. Attack patterns are uploaded and ready for your command." As the fleet soared into the sky, Zarn felt a sense of pride. They were not just fighting for their survival, they were reclaiming humanity's place in the galaxy. The team communicated via their headsets, coordinating their moves as they spotted the approaching enemy ships in the distance. The enemy fleet, a swarm of dark, menacing vessels, had arrived. They looked fierce, with sharp angles and weapons primed for destruction. Zarn's heart raced. "We will show them what we can do," he declared. The first shots rang out and chaos erupted in the sky. Zarn maneuvered the flagship with skill, dodging enemy fire and returning shots. Explosions lit up the dark sky as the two fleets clashed. Zarn felt a surge of adrenaline. This was the fight for Earth's future. A wave of panic washed over the crew. They were not prepared for battle. Many of them were just children of warriors trained in history but not in war. A young woman named Sarah looked at Captain Allen, her eyes wide with fear. "What do we do?" "We're outnumbered!" Captain Allen took a deep breath, remembering the stories of his ancestors. They had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. "We fight," he declared, his voice growing stronger. "We may be outnumbered, but we have something they do not, a fighting spirit." As the crew gathered around their captain, a sense of unity began to form. They were all descendants of brave humans who had fought to protect their home. They could not let their ancestors down. They looked at the screens displaying the approaching fleet, their determination growing. They would fight for their legacy. With the ship's systems coming online, they discovered hidden technologies and advanced weaponry. The warship had been designed for battles long ago, and its capabilities were still impressive. "Look at this!" exclaimed a young engineer named Liam, pointing at a holographic display. "We can upgrade the shields and firepower. This ship is more than just a relic." As the crew worked together, fear turned into excitement. They were no longer just descendants. They were soldiers, ready to defend their heritage. Captain Allen moved among them, encouraging each person. Remember our history. We are humans! We do not back down from a fight! With the crew now focused and determined, the warship's systems buzzed with energy. The crew completed the final checks, their hearts pounding with anticipation. Weapons are charged and ready, said Liam, looking at the captain with newfound confidence. Good, Captain Allen replied, a smile breaking through the tension. Prepare for evasive maneuvers. We will show them what humans are capable of. The ancient warship, now alive with energy and determination, began to move. The crew felt the power beneath them as the ship powered up its engines. They were ready to face the galactic fleet. Captain Allen looked out at the approaching ships, a fierce glint in his eyes. They were going to reclaim their place in the galaxy. As the warship entered battle mode, the crew felt a mix of fear and adrenaline. They remembered the lives lost and the stories of bravery that brought them here. They were more than just a crew. They were a family bound by purpose. Together, they would fight to protect their future and honor their past. And with that, the ship soared into the vastness of space, ready to confront the galactic fleet and unleash the fury of humanity. The fight for survival had begun, and the ancient warship was no longer a laughingstock. It was a beacon of hope and a symbol of resistance. The galactic fleet loomed closer, massive ships arranged in a tight formation. Captain Allen stood on the bridge of the ancient warship, staring at the approaching vessels. His heart raced as he felt the weight of his crew's hope resting on his shoulders. They had awakened a sleeping giant, and now it was time to show the galaxy what humanity could do. "Captain, the enemy is within range," shouted Liam from his station. "Weapons are ready to fire." "Hold your fire!" Allen commanded, raising a hand. "Let them make the first move. We need to see what they're capable of." The crew watched anxiously as the galactic fleet prepared to attack. They could see the enemy ships buzzing with activity, weapons charging and ready for action. The Council had underestimated the human warship, but now they would see the truth. Suddenly, the galactic fleet fired their first shots. Bright beams of energy sliced through space toward the ancient ship. Allen shouted, "Evasive maneuvers! Get us out of here!" The warship jerked to the side, narrowly avoiding the beams. The crew held on tight as the ship twisted and turned, powered by the adrenaline coursing through their veins. Allen could see the enemy ships moving to flank them, trying to surround the warship. "Activate the shields!" he yelled. The crew worked quickly, fingers flying across the control panels. The ship's shields flickered to life, just in time to absorb the impact of a blast. The force shook the entire ship, and the crew braced themselves against the walls. "Damage report!" Allen demanded, trying to keep calm. Liam checked his monitors, his face pale. "Shields are holding, but they won't last long." "Then let's give them a reason to think twice," Allen replied, a fierce determination in his voice. "Fire back!" The crew cheered, their spirits lifted by their captain's words. Liam pressed the buttons to fire the weapons. Energy beams shot from the warship, slicing through the vacuum of space. The crew watched in awe as one of the enemy ships exploded in a bright flash, scattering debris across the void. "Direct hit!" Sarah shouted, pumping her fist in the air. The crew felt a surge of confidence, their fears replaced by the thrill of battle. They were no longer the laughingstock of the Galactic Council, they were warriors. But the battle was far from over. The remaining ships of the fleet regrouped and returned fire. They were furious, and the full might of the galactic fleet was unleashed. Energy beams shot toward the ancient warship from every direction. "Brace for impact!" Allen ordered. The crew tightened their grips, holding on as the ship rocked from side to side. The shields flickered dangerously low, and they knew they had to act fast. "Captain, we need to change tactics," Jara suggested, her eyes darting across the screens. "We can use the asteroid field nearby for cover. If we can get there, we can turn the tide of this battle." "Good idea, Jara," Allen exclaimed. "Set a course for the asteroids! Prepare for a tactical retreat." The crew quickly adjusted their positions. The ship veered sharply, heading toward the rocky field. The galactic fleet pursued, not realizing the humans had a plan. As they entered the asteroid field, the warship weaved skillfully between the massive rocks. The galactic ships, larger and less agile, struggled to follow. Allen's heart raced with excitement. They were using their home advantage, something the Council had never expected. "Now!" Allen shouted as they reached a safe distance among the asteroids. "Turn around and prepare to fire!" The crew quickly turned the ship, positioning it for an ambush. They could see the enemy ships trying to navigate the field. With a steady hand, Liam fired their weapons once more, catching the Galactic fleet off guard. Energy beams shot through the asteroids, hitting enemy ships as they tried to maneuver. One by one, the Galactic vessels fell, their arrogance shattered. The crew erupted into cheers, filled with adrenaline and excitement. Captain Allen smiled, feeling the pride swelling in his chest. They had turned the tide of the battle, and the Galactic fleet was now the one on the defensive. The humans had awakened, and they were ready to fight for their place in the galaxy. The battle raged on, with the ancient warship now fighting fiercely against the remaining ships of the Galactic fleet. Captain Allen stood on the bridge, heart pounding with adrenaline. They had surprised the enemy, but the fight was not over yet. He knew they needed more than just the crew aboard their warship to win this battle. They needed all humans to rise and fight. "Liam!" Allen called out, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. "Can you send a message to the nearest human colony?" "Yes, Captain," Liam replied, already typing on his console. "I can send a distress signal and a call to arms." "Do it! We need every human we can find," Allen ordered. The crew watched as Liam's fingers flew across the screen, sending out a message across the stars. "Every human must know that we are under attack." As the signal broadcasted, Allen felt a mix of hope and fear. Would the colonies respond? Would they come to help? The Galactic fleet was large and powerful, but if the humans stood together, they could turn the tide of this battle. Meanwhile, on the surface of a nearby human colony, people were busy in their daily lives. Farmers tended to their fields and children played in the streets. Suddenly, their communication devices crackled to life, piercing through the normal sounds of life. "Attention, all human settlements! This is Captain Allen of the ancient warship. We are under attack from the Galactic fleet. We need your help!" A hush fell over the colony as the message continued. "Join us! Stand with us! We fight for our future and our freedom." In the streets, whispers turned to shouts as people gathered around their devices, their faces filled with determination. "Did you hear that? We need to help!" one farmer exclaimed, clenching his fists. An older woman, who had seen many battles in her life, stepped forward. "This is our chance to show the galaxy who we are. We are not just a colony, we are humans, and we will fight." Inspired by her words, a group of young men and women rallied together, preparing to join the fight. They grabbed whatever weapons they could find, farming tools, old rifles, and makeshift armor. They were ready to protect their home and their people. Back on the warship, Captain Allen received reports from Liam. "Captain, we are getting responses. Several colonies are ready to fight. They're gathering ships and preparing to join us." "Excellent," Allen said, a smile breaking across his face. "Tell them to move quickly. We need them now!" The warship continued to battle the Galactic fleet, dodging blasts and firing back with fierce determination. The crew fought with everything they had, spurred on by the hope of reinforcements. Suddenly, out of the corner of his eye, Allen saw a flash of light outside the viewports. A small fleet of ships was approaching. The ships were made from various materials, some old and rusty, while others were newly built. They were human ships, a mix of old and new, and they were coming to help. "Look! They're here!" Sarah shouted, pointing out the viewport. The crew cheered as the new ships entered the fray, firing on the Galactic fleet with renewed energy. With their numbers growing, the humans began to coordinate their attacks. Captain Allen spoke into the comms, his voice steady. "All ships, follow my lead. We will flank the enemy from both sides." The human ships moved into position, surrounding the Galactic fleet. The enemy had been caught off guard, and now they were trapped. Allen felt a surge of hope as he watched the humans fight side by side, united in their cause. "Now!" Allen shouted. "Fire at will!" Energy beams filled the air, lighting up the dark expanse of space. The humans fought bravely, their spirits lifted by the call to arms. They were no longer just survivors, they were warriors, ready to defend their home. As the battle continued, the Galactic fleet realized they were outmatched. One by one, their ships began to fall, and the humans pressed on, determined to reclaim their future. Captain Allen watched with pride as the crew and the reinforcements fought fiercely. They were no longer a laughingstock. They had rallied together and turned the tide of the battle. The humans had found their strength, and they would not back down. The battle raged on, the sound of explosions echoing through space. Captain Allen stood at the bridge of the ancient warship, determination written all over his face. The Galactic fleet was in disarray, but their flagship remained. If they wanted to win, they needed to take it down. "Captain, the enemy flagship is regrouping," Liam reported, his fingers racing over the controls. "They are trying to coordinate a counterattack." "Then we have to strike first," Alan replied, gripping the console. "Get all ships ready to attack. We'll make our final move together." The crew moved quickly, preparing for the decisive strike. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation, and the spirit of unity among the humans shone brightly. They had come together as one, ready to fight for their future. "Remember, this is for our home," Alan shouted, looking at his crew. "We've fought hard, and we will finish this battle. Let's show them who we are." The crew cheered, fueled by their captain's words. The message was clear. They were ready to fight, and they would not back down. The human fleet began to move as one, ships weaving in and out of formation, ready to launch their attack. Captain Allen could see the enemy flagship on the view screen, a massive ship brimming with weapons. It loomed over the battlefield like a dark shadow, but Allen felt no fear. Instead, he felt a fierce determination. "Now!" Allen shouted. "Attack!" The ship surged forward, weapons blazing. Energy beams shot from the warship, striking the flagship and causing it to shudder. The crew cheered, and Alan felt a rush of adrenaline. They were finally taking the fight to the enemy. But the flagship was not going down without a fight. It returned fire with a barrage of energy beams lighting up the space around them. The human ships dodged and weaved, using the asteroids for cover as they attacked. "Captain, we're taking heavy damage!" Sarah cried out, her voice filled with urgency. "We need to focus our fire on their weapons systems." "Agreed," Alan replied. "Target their weapons and shields. We need to disable them before they can retaliate." The crew focused their fire, directing every blast toward the flagship's weapons. The enemy ship began to lose its firepower, and the humans felt the tide turning. But Alan knew they had to finish it quickly before the flagship could recover.